Today we're going to be talking about custom XML related lists used in the CRM. A little bit about myself. I've been coding in Zoho now for about 4 years. I'm currently managing the team of developers at Zoho Consulting. We kind of have like a sort of like a restaurant hierarchy where we have our consultants or like our front of staff, our front house staff meeting with the clients, getting their needs. And then I run all of the chefs in the back, all the line cooks, putting the code together. I have my degrees in mechanical engineering, so that's where my background mostly is. I promise I have a dog named Raven, even though she's disappeared. I'm going to do my best to get her back on camera before this is over. And then just add a little color. I also run a nonprofit comedy organization here in Southern Utah, where we mostly run improv groups, classes, and shows. So custom related lists. These are very useful for displaying data in the CRM without having to actually write it to the record. And it doesn't need to be necessarily CRM data, because the related list is something that is, it's based on a function that is running whenever the page is being opened, and then when you scroll down to that related list. So it's really nice that you get like real-time, up-to-date information from wherever you're pulling it, rather than having to create some kind of like schedule or something like that to keep an entire database of information synced in your CRM. You can just pull the information that you need right when you want to view it. The way that you can add the related lists, there's on the left pane, there's a little blue add related list button at the bottom of the list there. There's a couple of different options. You've got widgets, which can be run as something that you've built using Node.js, using the Zoho extension packer and validator. You also have, if you've built anything in Creator, you can just embed a Creator report as a related list. But the one that we're going to be talking about today is selecting functions as what your related list is going to be based on. And you can write a function in Java or with Node.js directly into the editors here, but we're going to be focusing on the Deluge versions. That's what most of us are most comfortable with. As I mentioned, it runs on load of the related list, not the page itself. You have to scroll down to it, and then when you scroll down to it and it becomes visible on the screen, that's when your function will run. You can map field values into the function of the related list, just like with the workflow rule. And then the return statement must be XML formatted. There is a link here to just the Zoho help documentation on it. But we'll be seeing it in some of the code examples, so I won't necessarily go to that link right now. So a couple of use cases, and we'll be going through each of these examples today. Say you wanted to show account and contact data on a deal record outside of just the lookup field, but you don't want to have to necessarily copy all of that information onto the deal record every time. Or you could look at QuickBooks invoices that are related to a specific account, or on a deal, show any other deals that are associated on the same account, right? So you can either show additional CRM data, show third-party data, or like in the third use case that we'll see, that's where it's CRM data, but it requires special, like the relationship isn't easily defined with just workflow rules. So a custom function can get you there better. So let's start with number one, the account and contact info on the deal. So I got the code snippet here. Let's take a look in. So starting off, we've got ourselves I'm just doing a COCL query, which also, I think this has been talked about in Zoho Developer Hangouts before, but if you have not been using COCL queries, Oh, they are the best thing ever. You got to get on the Cocal train. So here I'm grabbing how to, if you want to get the, I'm getting all of the account information, account and contact information associated to a deal in a single API call, rather than having to do get the ID, then get the lookup fields, then do get record by ID for both the contact and the account. If you do a Cocal query, then you can grab things like the account name, or I kind of wish you could scroll while you were zoomed in, or the contact first name, or contact last name. So you're able to grab tons of related information using a Cocal query in a single API call, rather than making a bunch of different ones. But now to the meat and potatoes, the stuff that we're actually focusing on today, which is building the related list. So as I mentioned, the response needs to be sent back in an XML format. And these formats always start with a record tag. And XML, if you're not super familiar with it, it's basically, it's just like JSON, right? It's a way that data is packaged. And in the case of XML, it's a little bit similar to HTML, where everything is defined and separated by tags. So we start our XML string with a record tag, regardless of whatever it is we're working on. Oh, Raven's come back. So good. Just proof that she's real. Then for each row that you're going to have in your table, you start with a row tag, and then you provide a count of which row that is. Then for every column, you will have this FL tag, which, let's get a slightly better view of that. So in this FL tag, you have a value attribute that this corresponds to the column name of the particular piece of data. So in this case, I've got columns for account, type, status, industry, and then I have the contact, and then their title and their department. Then after you have this FL tag, you have the just the data that you get from your Cocal query. And then lastly, you just need to close each piece of data with this with a closing FL tag. Right. So in the end, you'll have this record row, every column, row, another row, every column, another row, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, you'll have record, and then you just return that whole string at the very end. And when you do, this is what the result looks like. Right? I get these columns here. So in this case, I just hard-coded my string to just have a single row, because in this case, I just wanted to show some specific pieces of information from the account and from the related contact. This wasn't a dynamic list by any means. So you can use it if you just need to show some simple data. But now let's get into some more dynamic results. So similar to the first one, I mean, most of these are all the same. It's about getting a list of data and then packaging it in the appropriate syntax. So starting off here just by getting a list of QuickBooks invoices based on an account ID. Just also, as I like to throw in just my general clean code tips for things like your QuickBooks Realm ID, which is like your organization ID in QuickBooks. I recommend putting that kind of stuff in an org variable rather than having to, every time you go and make another function, finding that number, copying and pasting it up at the top. And then again, just making a simple query here, similar to the cocals that we had, but using the QuickBooks API. So now in this case, we now have a list that comes back. Oh, actually, before I forget, I want to do a little shout out to our last Zoho Developer Hangout of remembering how to fail gracefully, I believe is Mike's terminology. So here, getting the query, trying to get the query results. If something goes wrong and nothing shows up there, catching it, and then if the results are empty, there is a way that you can set up an error message to say that whether or not sorry. So the default format that we're going over here has things show up, as a table with column headers and rows, but there is this error message functionality that you can do if you work into your code some way that that there are no records to show, giving back some kind of message to your user saying, oh, this list is empty because there is no data to show, not because something went wrong in the code, right? Whereas if something did go wrong in the code in your related list, it would just say, sorry, there was a problem processing your request. Then once I have my list of invoices, we'll simply build a map and add for each invoice, create a map of the data, put that into a list. In this case, I'm putting it in a map with already how I want the column headers to look to make my dynamic listing a little bit easier here in a second. Jump back down here. So now, in this case, my XML list code is actually relatively short. So to get my list of the column headers, I simply do I get just the first invoice in the list and then do a .keys, which is a function that is very helpful to use if you have never used the .keys before. That if you have a map of stuff, .keys will give you back a list of all of those keys in that map. So effectively, I just got a list of, invoice number, email status, balance, due date, invoice date. So now we'll start our row value at 0, initiate our XML string, again, add that record tag. Then for every record in our list of invoices, we're going to add a new row where the count will be this row value number. Then another for each loop. So we have a nested one here. So for each name in the headers list, we want to add the FL tag with the name plus the actual data from that map, and then close the FL tag. And then finally, closing it off, every row, closing it with the row tag, increasing the row value, and then closing the whole thing off with the record tag. Mike is asking, is there an easier way to build the XML? Well, there's a possibility that I haven't tried before, but there is a to XML function in Deluge that if you were to that I've never used before, but if you build the JSON map in the right way and then say to XML, then I believe everything would go. Now, the thing that I don't know is I don't know if the to XML would be able to add things like the attributes. So that would be like the value on the column name or the row count. So I think you might still have to go in and add those manually anyway, so you would have to do like a replace all or something like that.
It looks like it takes the keys and turns them into the tags. So like you would have each of your entries would be like row would be your key, and then it doesn't look like you can put those attributes. So like count equal to or CNT equal to whatever. Like I don't think you can do any of that in the 2XML, but that was a good idea. I didn't even think of that. So that's
you could put it in the keys if you wanted to. Yeah. So you could put it in the actual in the key. You could put everything that's in the FL tag.
Yeah, true. So if your key was row space CNT equals row number.
Yeah, the only problem with that is that
should...
the closing FL tag would have that. So you need to parse the closing FL tag to be just the closing FL tag.
Which, although again, I haven't tested this, but I'm guessing that if there's an extra attribute in the closing FL tag, it probably just doesn't do anything, would be my guess. I'm guessing nothing would happen. So you would probably be fine. But hey, we can test this out later if we got time at the end of all this.
All right.
And then last, and then nice result here. Oh, so something to keep in mind is that there's no way to set like a type, a data type in the list. So anything like a currency, you will have to format yourself in the code, or same thing with dates. You'll need to format those as part of your functionality as you're adding them to the list. Yes. Oh, those data types. Oh, those nasty data types. Last one, have on a deal. Say you wanted to display other deals associated to the same account. Again, I'm gonna use both our failing gracefully as well as our Coca query stuff here. Get a deal, then try to get the account ID. If there was no account in that lookup field, then this would error out, and so the catch would run and thus return the no account found message. Then we'll run our query, where also as a if you're not super familiar with COCL queries, you can also add aliases so that the keys of the COCL query come back formatted how you want them to be formatted. So in this case, I formatted my COCL query to have my column names already named the way that I wanted them to be named in my table. So I have like stage, closing date, owner dot first name, just as owner. The one thing that I haven't been able to figure out is if there's a way to like concatenate values, because you can put formulas into a COCL query. Like you can add two numerical values together as a column, but I don't think you can concatenate text. So I was trying to put the first and last name together, couldn't quite get that to work, so just had to stick with the first name. So then again,
you could get owner's full name, right?
No, I couldn't. At least I couldn't. At least I couldn't get it. At least not with the COCL. Were you able to? Have you gotten full name before?
I think so. Yeah, I might be wrong, but I think I did.
Of course you have, Lucas. Anything that I think isn't possible, turns out Lucas just has already done in his spare time. That's just how he rolls. It's sort of working with Lucas is sort of like the same feeling of when you look for something and you can't find it when you were a kid, and then you told your mom, I can't find this thing, and your mom says, well, did you look here? Yes, of course I looked there. Well, if I go over there and it's there, it's not over there, and then she finds it immediately. It's the same thing of when you come to Lucas with a coding issue. It's like, well, did you try this? Of course I tried that. Well, did you though? Let me try. Yeah, it works. Oh, okay, great. So Landon, Landon saying that that still happens with him and his wife all the time. So it's a never-ending thing. So a couple of things that are slightly different in this use case is that I have essentially taken because I'm worried about maybe the column name, because my column names might be dynamic. If there are any special characters that the XML can't handle, and I have another slide going into this a little bit more detail, but there are some special characters that you have to replace in this XML list because things like the greater than, less than, ampersand, or apostrophe, they all have a functionality in the XML string, so they have to be escaped with these special little codes that there's actually two versions of the codes. There's either a numerical code or there's like a little shorthand alphanumeric code for each of these, and I have a table of that at the end here. But as you can see, it's all of these XML related lists. It's always the same thing. It's just once you can figure out the format of what an XML list is supposed to look like, it's just about getting a list of data and then putting it in these little tags. So now to some important questions from previously. If you want to add a hyperlink, then there are two additional attributes that you can add to the FL tag. There's link equals true, and then your URL, and then whatever is the text in between the FL opening and closing tag will be, the text of the link. So of course, in this case, I have this statically defined as click here, but you could have this be dynamic as, say like a deal name or an account name, something like that. I also shout out to the Zoho support team, who I've been kind of emailing back and forth, getting some additional insight into the XML related lists. From what they've told me, I was wondering if there were like other attributes in these tags that we could make use of. So far, just the value, link, and URL attribute tags that are currently supported. So hopefully, maybe somewhere down the line, there might be like a data type attribute, which would be really cool, so that if something was a currency or a date, that it could be formatted a fun way. Just spitballing. And then the special characters that I mentioned, you can escape them with these numerical values, but there are also other ones that you can use, such as for the ampersand, I think it's like and AMP a semicolon. All of these have to begin with an ampersand and end with a semicolon. Then for the less than, I believe it's ampersand LT semicolon. Greater than ampersand GT semicolon. Apostrophe is ampersand APOS semicolon. But I couldn't find the one for the slash, so I just went with the numerical ones because you can never go wrong with just using the numbers. I actually don't know that for certain. I imagine so, but I guess I can't. Well, I mean, you can add functions to your extensions, and you should be able to add a related list function. So I'm gonna say I'm like 85% sure that you can, but I also can't 100% promise it. But I'm pretty sure that you can.
I think that if he's talking about like in a sales order, for example, right? If you're doing the finance related list, I think you can't add custom related lists in there. So I know that there are some modules that you can't. I think that the quotes also you can't add custom related lists in there, right?
There's
So
a handful of...
you might need to check if you can add first.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
In custom module, can we add? In custom module.
Custom module? Yes, absolutely.
And in leads I'm just asking. I will have to test it, but just asking here.
Yes, leads. Yeah, leads you can. Sorry, I guess when you mentioned extensions, I thought you were talking about like creating an extension in like Zoho Sigma and then deploying that.
Oh, yes, I'm talking about the same. If you are going to create an extension in Sigma platform, so if you like, we can place buttons and related widgets. Can we place this related list as well? The XML related list from Sigma platform using a function.
I believe so. I believe that you can. Yes.
See, the main problem that we are facing with the extension is that it does not support um, multi-select lookup. So there is no direct way to show the relation between, let us say, for an example, if we are building something for Milkshake, then in Milkshake, for each campaign, the same recipient will be like, there will be multiple entries in the leads in Milkshake. So many to many relationship is not possible in extension platform for now. But we can create our own related widget where we can show, okay, this is the status in this campaign, this is the status in this campaign. But with the help of this XML related list, I think we would be able to work on these type of things, right? Do you think?
Because then it's just a matter of can you grab the information via Deluge, get it into a JSON list, boom, Bob's your uncle, you're good to go.
Yeah, every time we load that related list, we have to execute our function, get this detail from whatever third-party services, and then we have to construct this,
So
right?
you are making an AP, the function is running every time you load the related list. So it is. Great. Thank you, Mike, for confirming. Yes, you can add custom related lists inside of Sigma extensions. But yeah, just something to keep in mind is that if your particular function is very API heavy and has to make a lot of API calls, just know that that is going to be running every time that page and related list loads. So
See, we can use any endpoint that gives us like the query, COQL query. We can also list anything. So we will get a list of objects and then we can construct it. So do you think it's a good idea when every time a page is loaded or we clicked on the related widget, either we load the widget or use the function to generate up this related list? I think
it sounds like a good idea to me. And the more that you can use things like COQL, you can reduce your number of API calls and keep it just keep that API usage low. And I mean that sounds like a great application to me.
I think every time if we want to generate a dynamic related list, we will have to call any API. Either, I mean, you call API on a loop, that would be very expensive because it would be adding up those network calls, network time in each of those loop iteration. I think it will. I mean, the best way would be like getting an endpoint that will give us all the records as a list, or maybe the queries if you are using Zoho, right?
Yeah, so just efficient querying is the key.
Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you. So I kind of went over the special characters. There is a way that you can, if your column names are statically defined, there is a additional element that you can use to take care of any special characters inside of your actual like column values. And that's called a CData section. And this is something that is inherent to just XML in general. So if you want, you can have this CData tag that starts with you start a tag, exclamation point, square bracket, CData square bracket, then the text of whatever your data is, close the square brackets, close the tag. And so this is what goes in between your FL tags. This tells the XML anything that's in between these inner square brackets should just be interpreted as straight text. Don't assume that any of these are any kind of functional triggers. Just treat everything as a literal character. Unfortunately, that does not work inside of the attributes for the tags, only for the inner text between the tags. So if your column names are going to be dynamic, then you will need to use the sort of the replace all technique that I've got going on here, where you just do a dot replace all just in case there are any of these known special characters in your column names. Just looks a little little clunkier if you have to do it that way, but it does work. Works pretty well. Great. Well, that's all of the pre-prepared stuff that I had in terms of information on this. I think, yeah, we still got plenty of time, so we can try doing like a sort of a live tutorial if you guys would like. I mean, who doesn't like a live tutorial, right? Oh, Alex's question, did we go over URLs? Yep. So just as a reminder, if you want to add a URL, there's just two attributes to add: the link equals true, and then the URL attribute, and then whatever your URL in here is where it will lead to. But yeah, let's go ahead and do one from Scritchy Scratch. How about that? All right, so let me just change what I'm sharing.
Greg, I got a quick question.
Yes, Mike.
From your experience, what's the big trade-off between doing a widget and a related list like this? Is it just like, I mean, I think it's a lot harder to pass data into a widget. Otherwise, like, it feels like it might be easier to work with not XML. Has that been your experience? Is it just like, is it because it's so much easier just to pass the information in and run that function? That's why you would use a related list over a widget?
Yes, basically it just comes down to how comfortable are you in creating, how comfortable are you in JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. If you're fluent in JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, then when you can, then widgets are your oyster, and you can do pretty much anything and everything inside of a widget. You have much more control over how the data is displayed and everything like that. There's just more. There's a lot more functionality in JavaScript than there is in running a Deluge script. But there is just kind of that. Just do you know JavaScript and HTML? Right. So if all you know is Deluge, then this is a nice stepping stone. But yeah, certainly get start getting versed in JavaScript and HTML stuff, so you can start to move towards widgets, because then the sky really is the limit. Our team over at Zanata, we've been we're kind of tooling around with some different widget ideas to use, and man, when you start undertaking a widget, like there's because you are, it's sort of like a creator app, right? Because you're building it from scratch, so you can make it whatever you want, but you have to make every single piece. So
right.
So it's just kind of the, if all I need is just to list some data, boom, this XML related list, beautiful, gets the job done.
And well, the only time that and the other thing that I've looked at it, because I've done plenty of widgets. The other thing is it handles native formatting. Like this related list looks like it's part of the CRM, where to do that in a widget is a lot harder.
Yeah, so, you have to make sure that you figure out exactly what fonts and everything like that. Everything is set to, so a much higher learn a much steeper learning curve with widgets than there is with these custom lists. Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, let's get take you through an example that we have done a number of times in our work at Zanata. So I've just got a demo account up here. But let's say let's say you're using Zoho Inventory, right, for fulfilling things. You know that you've got your estimates and your sales orders, right, your invoices down here. But one thing that you don't have down here is say packages. If you wanted to see what are the status of all of the packages of a deal, a custom related list here is a great idea. So over here on the left pane, I've got my add related list. Come here and select function. And then I will create if I've already created the function in just the functions list, it'll show up here. Otherwise, I can create a new one. So we'll say get packages. So just like any other script, start with, so this is similar to like a button script or a standalone script, right? Where your return is going to be whatever your XML string is. Let's see, I might be able to cheat here. And I think we already have a nice. Also, just another not sponsored, but we love using this extension called TextBlaze for saving our code snippets. That then you can just kind of paste in anywhere. Oh yeah, love it, love doing it. So for this one, you'll have your books organization ID. So let's hop over to our here and get that. And this is an older code, so you can see I'm hard coding this, where I just told everybody to use a. So I should do my due diligence. And let's go to our CRM variables. Single line. General. Leave that there. Great. And now we can come back here, zoho.crm.getBoard variable. Finance. Or I always forget what I call my variables as soon as I've made them. Yes, Zoho Finance Org ID. Great. Then getting a sales order. In this case, this is if you're getting a sales order from the CRM, or sorry, this is accessing the sales orders as they exist in their book sales orders, but in the CRM. Let's see, let me get that. Then getting your packages, get your Zoho Books records, and then obviously we want to just return the XML. Curious if I already have this one. No, of course not. No, don't have that defined on line number 3. Oh, do I have this on? You know what? Actually, I think you can put this on the. I think I did put this on the related. And so first off, let's get our. So actually, I don't think we'll even need to necessarily. No, I don't even have to get the deal record. We can just go straight into the getting the sales orders. So we'll do an invoke URL here, get sales orders. Let's see, Mahmoud is asking, so any way to get stock on hand quantity from Zoho Finance to stock on hand at Zoho CRM? If you do an invoke URL to the get item by ID in Zoho inventory, then the current physical stock on hand and the current accounting stock on hand are both returned in that JSON. So you can set up a, either a schedule or some kind of function to, there is no native way, at least not right now. So yeah, so you'll have to do some kind of function either with a, so you could use something like a related list, in this instance where you could pull those over whenever you're going to look at a CRM product record. We don't need the additional headers because we'll just use our Zoho Books connection. Need to return something. We'll just return empty string for now. And then we will go sales orders. Of course, what's my connection name? Just books. Okay, great. So getting our sales orders. And so now in here, we should be able to just grab the need our packages. Oh, you know what? I did not pass in. I don't think I passed in the. Nope. I just got a list of all the sales orders. I did not pass in my parameters. Now that we have our sales orders, we can use that to grab our packages. And so for that, we're actually going to need to go to the inventory API. Just an FYI, Greg, you can get the CRM variables value from the edit arguments itself. It will save you 1 credit, which consumed for that get org variable integration task call. Yeah, that is that's a good move. It's a good move, Ram. Yeah, so Ram is referring to that we could just have additional argument here. Books org ID. And down to Zoho CRM variables. and then select our. Oh, it's under General, and then Zoho Finance Org ID. Yep, save ourselves an API call. Although I am going to leave it here just for right now for while we're testing, because otherwise I'll have to copy it in every time. Right, because then you have to put it in here. So it's great. It's great for when you're actually running it, just not for when you're testing it and rerunning it over and over.
But that only gives you the org ID of the CRM, right? Like it wouldn't give you the org ID of finance.
Oh, this is because we put in a Zoho CRM variable for Zoho Finance Org ID.
Well, but I get what he's saying. He's saying you can pass it in, but like if you pass it in, like you're only going to be able to access it from. Oh, I see what he's saying. Gotcha. Never mind. I got it.
Just that then I'm not spending an API credit doing this.
Right.
Yeah. So essentially, it will eliminate this line, which again I'll leave in just for testing purposes here. But yeah. So good recommendation there, Ram. So then for sales order in sales orders, get orders. Out of our parameters here. Sales order. B. Oop, oh, yep, this and that. Ever elusive semicolon. Oh, of course, I don't have an inventory connection. Got all the other connections. Okay, we just have one called Zoho Finance. Great. Use. Caesar's not associated with company ID or company name. Oh, I didn't replace the org ID. This is. I want you all to know this is the terror. This is the terror of live coding in front of all of you developers. I've never been more frightened in my entire life.
You're doing exactly what we all go through, so don't worry about it. I was actually surprised that you were going to take this on anyway, so you get credit for that.
It's what it's what the people want, Mike. What the people want.
Is it?
I don't know. There's nothing else planned, so if anybody wants to just peace out, they can peace out. There's no problems, but just if you want to stick around, you can stick around. Yeah, if anything, just stick around for the Schadenfreude. Just the like, yeah, feel what I feel all the time.
I feel normal now because somebody else is doing it.
We'll get our equals mapped out. Let's see. What info would be good info to have here? let's see, probably just the package number, tracking number, and status. Yeah, we'll just do that. Status, package number, tracking number. Grab those. IT admin asking, what is the difference between is null variable and variable dot is null? Those should be exactly the same. Now, the if null is different from the is null, because the if null will only count actual true null as null. An empty string does not count as null on the if null, but an empty string does count as null on a dot is null. Just an anecdote, there's one category of coder that gets it all right from memory. Back in the old days in Russia, in schools, they had few computers, so learners got in the habit of debugging their head. Those guys were scary good. in Russia, code debug you.
I will say, personal experience for the is null versus dot is null. I want to say that I've run into errors when the variable is null because it tries to access something that is null and then throws an error when you use the dot is null. So I have just gotten into the habit of always wrapping the is null around the variable, his first thing. I don't know if others have run into that, but same thing with is empty. Like I don't know, it happened once, and so now I'm paranoid and I just always wrap it instead of use the dot. But I'm not sure if others have experienced that. Sounds like
I know
my
that
fears are just.
I've run into I know that I've run into the issues where it's like I know running things like an is empty freaks out on an is null, but I personally haven't run into the issue of the dot is null freaking out. But as we all know,
that's it. Maybe I was confusing is empty with is null when I was learning it, and I got that in my head. So that's
better safe than sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Region, I still believe you though, because things like to bug out somehow. It's true.
Right.
There's ghosts in the machines. They're everywhere.
And then you lock it in, and you're like, "That's in my brain. I'm doing that forever until
forever."
I hear it on
it's all
Hangout."
It's all turning into a bunch of OCD cases.
True.
We can just copy that a little bit there. And one more package map down put number package dot get number all not proper. Okay, so now this should now give us a nice list of data. Able to find package list function. Oh. Oops. We'll say this is one of the nicest things about if you are actually editing your XML related list function by going to the record first, is that your test ID is always right up there, which you don't get otherwise. It just stays up there. Okay, great. Looks like we got our info here. Just make sure that it looks good. I don't love the order that it's in, so in that case, rather than doing it all dynamically, I'm going to do. This is the benefit of if you create a column names list.
What is that you're using to format your JSON?
I don't know. I just Googled JSON viewer, and then this was the first one that popped up.
Oh, but then you copy pasted in. I thought there was like a shortcut that you were doing that I wasn't aware of. Okay.
No, copy and pasted it
I always
in.
paste mine into. I always paste it into VS Code and format it, but I was wondering if there was an easier way.
There's got to be a better way. Actually, no. I want the
There's gotta
the
be.
package number first. Package number. So this way, if I create a specific list of the column names, then that's the easiest way to make sure that things come out in order. Although I guess I could have done it in order by doing this, but too little, too late. Status names add tracking number. Yeah, here's what this is like. Yeah, get into what's the best. What's the best JSON viewer? It's like, you know, Pepsi or Coke. All right, so now we'll start our
I just wish
XML response list with an empty string. Actually, I guess I can just start with the record. Don't necessarily start with the empty string because everything has to start with record. Paint, then now here's something. Now here's a cool shortcut that my colleague Alex taught all of us, is that you can actually do plus equals here in Deluge to do. Now, when I save it, it's going to do the equivalent of XML response equals XML response plus whatever. But now I can just add. Oh wait, no, I need to start my for each loop now. For each row in, no, well, we'll call it this for each package again. For each package in packages or package list. Then another, oh, and then we'll start the row, right? XML response plus equals row equals, we'll have our row value, or I guess we'll row count, start at 0, count plus count there. Right, then for each column name in column names. Oop, might need to refresh this page. Back here. Okay, sweet. I ain't seen that sad page face. Yes. Oh, it hurts every time. Could not connect. Well, that's just so those sad faces were we have some related lists that are just coded to our local host, so that when we're working on widgets, we can host it just using VS Code's like live server extension, and then you can kind of see things update in real time on the CRM as you're changing your HTML. Yes, it is fancy. Then we'll have on XML response. Oops, let's start the string first. Actually, I'm gonna do it this way, make it a little bit easier on myself. Val equals. Oh, wait, no, that's not gonna make it easier on myself. What am I thinking? Val equals plus column name plus. I'm going to use the C data option that I talked about to you guys before. Get column name. Close slash L. In the bottom here. Let's close out the row. And then at the bottom, we have response plus equals. And the closing third tag. No. And then I do need one more. I do need, let's see, package list. Oh, I do need before this, if package list dot size equal to 0, then we need to return. Thank you, Mike. See you later. Return error and message packages and message. I think you only need the. That's all you need. Okay, so I think hopefully that should be giving us what we're looking for. Yeah, that looks about right. So now let's save this. And problem processing the request. What could possibly have gone wrong? Impossible. Let's try with the deal ID one more time, and then let's put this in a. Now do an XML viewer. XML viewer. Best XML viewer online. Hands down. Always the best. It's weird how it's formatted it, which tells me that unclosed XML attribute. Maybe I have to use the quotes.
Greg, you need to close the record with another type of slash. Actually, I think. Can you please check the record, open tag and close tag?
I have a the littlest things. Oh, still something wrong. Still didn't like it. Man, you always get your hopes up. Was that what you were talking about, or was there something else?
Yes, that's the one. For all the FL tag too, actually. You can see cross verify that FL tag.
Oh, I did it here too. Oh, nice. Just do it quick. Any other rogue backslashes hiding anywhere? No, doesn't look like it. Okay. Come on. Come on. Hey, there we go. There we go. So now we can see the package number, the status, and the tracking number. And, oh, you know what? Let's add, just because I feel like pushing the envelope, the last couple, add the raw count. By raw count, do you mean how many, like the quantity of what's in the package? Or just total of how many packages there are? Mahmood. But I'm going to add, while Mahmood is working on that question, I'm going to add link. And we'll do, let's see. What do the links for the packages look like? Packages slash get ID. And so now we'll add if file name is equal to link and we need to add in whoops, not plus. Okay. And we got link equals true, and then URL equals so if I did that right. Oh, weird, did it not?
Greg, you missed to add the link in the column name list, actually, I think so.
Yes. Good catch. Good catch. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Okay, there you go. So that's how you can add in the URL. not have the. You know, it's got the link in there. Well, okay. So I guess I got some practice to do with actually adding in the link. Oh, maybe do I have to have the? Do you have to have that little hash there? I wonder. Did not have that in. Let's see if that's it. It'd be weird, but stranger things happened in. Oh, yep, there we go. Huh. Didn't realize I needed that little hash symbol. But yeah, there we go. So sweet. There you go. That is a little live rendition of putting together a custom XML related list. Yeah, so really nice. You could now have this showing right below, say, your. So I probably want to move this right underneath Zoho Finance. Oh, and for Mahmood, when you said add the raw count, if you meant just add the number of packages, then actually it says over here on the related list once the related list loads. Unless, of course, it's more than 10, then it'll just say 10 plus. And similarly to other related lists, I believe that if the list size is larger than 10, then it starts to paginate it. So if we were to, so let's say if I go down here and let's add in, let's basically just kind of recopy this. I think if I just copy this, do it. Oh, no, because I'm resetting package list inside of there, so I can't do it. Can't do that. Oh, I'll just copy this bit. Yeah, there we go. This so that we end up, duplicating all the packages a couple of times. Oh, I moved it up here now. Yep, and so you can see it'll show you 10 records at a time, and then you can just paginate to the next page of records. And yep, it'll still give you that raw count. So there you have it, everybody. Hope that was informative more than anything else, but I also hope it was at least a little bit enjoyable.